This is Momxiety with Sav Social. I'm your host, Samantha. Let's get right into it before the baby wakes up. Hey guys, we have a really great episode planned for you today. I have the pleasure of speaking with a certified love and relationship coach and marriage mentor. She is dedicated to helping ambitious women and couples create deep, lasting love. She knows firsthand what it takes to build a strong, fulfilling relationship. She has been happily married to her life partner for over 25 years, and together they've raised 3 amazing children who are now all grown up. She specializes in guiding high-achieving women and couples to break toxic relationship patterns, build fulfilling partnerships, and create love that lasts. Whether you're tired of feeling alone despite your success or your relationship that feels disconnected, she will help you ignite the love, passion, and partnership you truly desire. We're actually going to hop on a Zoom call with her momentarily, so please welcome Odette. Hi, Odette.
Hi,
Thank-
Sam. How are
Thanks
you?
so much for coming on. I'm good. I'm good. I'm really excited about this episode. I know we have a couple topics planned, but our main focus was really to talk about relationships after children and how they evolve. And, as mentioned earlier, you're a certified love and relationship coach. So, February is the perfect month to be recording. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for asking me to be on your podcast, which I love. And I just want to mention I love the name Momxiety because I think that if you're a mom, you could totally relate to that name.
Mhm,
And I relate to it on a few different levels because I remember when I first became a mom.
mhm.
Um, and I know this is a little off topic, but I'll just share with you
Okay.
briefly that I always wanted to be a mom. I was so excited, and I'm very maternal. I'm the oldest daughter, oldest um, cousin, and I couldn't wait to be a mom. And when I had my first daughter, I was 23 years old when I had my oldest, and I
Mhm.
had such postpartum anxiety
Oh
that
my
I was
goodness.
not expecting at all. So that name resonates with me, on a few different levels, and I thought of that when I saw that name, so I think it's a great name.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate
Of
it.
course, there's a lot more to motherhood than that, but
Yes, exactly. But I think that's the part that people don't think about
yeah.
beforehand. You know what I mean? Like,
No, no, and had no idea that I was going to feel all those emotions, so it was kind of shocking for me.
right, right.
Yeah,
But
so
it's
sorry
nice
to
to
hear
hear
that.
like that other moms feel the same thing, so it's more comforting. It's
Yeah.
definitely hear that. Um, but yeah, so let's jump right into the topic we have for today. Like I said, is relationships and how they evolve after children. I mean, the first point I wanted to talk about was time. And obviously, when you have children, your time is split up a little bit. And whether you're a stay-at-home mom or you're working, time could be a big factor in your relationship. And it can cause stress between a couple. And yeah, that's really one of the first points I wanted to talk about. Did you want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I think that's such a great question because so many couples struggle with this, especially when you have your first child. It's such a huge transition. You go from a party of two to a party of three, and it's a whole new ball game. And the most important thing to remember is that the best gift that you can give to your child is for you and your partner to have a beautiful relationship.
Mhm.
So, a lot of times, a lot of us moms, we struggle with mom guilt and we don't want to, you know, either leave the baby or change our focus to our partner. But honestly, by prioritizing that relationship, on so many levels. First of all, you're being a great example to your child about what a relationship looks like, a loving relationship.
Mhm.
And also, you're both going to show up happier as well. So it's really important to just make the time. Like there is not enough time, right? You can't wait for
Yeah.
the time. You have to find the time and you have to just make the time. And be aware of your expectations of what that time together looks like.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times what we want is we want these, this, a special date or, all this,
Mhm.
maybe go on a weekend getaway, and those things are great. And you should plan those now and then,
Mhm.
but don't underestimate what just making small moments for each other every day looks like. Like,
Right.
be
And
just like
some
a few minutes here and there, a little, kiss here and there. Those little minutes throughout the day add up.
Right. And I think too, a lot of times we're always waiting for the next chapter. Like, when they're little, it's like, okay, the newborn stage is very overwhelming. We don't have time at all, it feels like, right? And then we're like, okay, maybe when they're toddler, we could do this. And then it's like, okay, maybe when they're, a little bit older. So like you're saying, making time throughout this whole experience because soon it'll be 10 years later and you're like, what the heck are we
Yeah.
doing? Um, but like you said, just those little moments, not to look past that and just to really, focus on that because time flies and you don't
Yeah.
want to miss anything.
It's so true. And time flies. And just as you're watching your baby grow and transition into all these different stages,
Mhm.
your partnership is growing, your marriage is growing. It's not going to look the same today as it looked, 2 years ago before you had your child. And
Right.
it's not going to look the same today as it's going to look in 10 years. Like there's always something going on in life. Your marriage is going to continue to evolve. So
Mhm.
have to create that skill of how do we make time for each other? How do we prioritize each other when we have so many different things going on? And like you say, there's always something. I have 3 kids. My oldest daughter is now getting married.
Mhm.
Her wedding's coming up in August. So like we're in a whole other stage of life and of our relationship. Now we're like going into we're empty nesters. So like there's always something going on. And there's
Right.
something, like you said, something you're looking forward to, something that you're planning. There's always reasons to not prioritize each other. So you have
Mhm.
to intentionally create those special moments together.
Right. And everybody's life is so different. And like you might say, like, um, well, my son is in daycare and I'm working. How do I make time for, my husband? And then I want to cook dinner. But you look at other really, other people and you're like, well, how do they do it? And that's one problem is when people compare your marriage maybe after children to another marriage. Everything is on social media now. And you look at all these people, how are these influencers, recording their entire day and
Mhm.
their kids are, just going with the flow? It's like that's not realistic. And
Yeah.
these people have like my point is that everybody might think oh they have more time than me, right? Or just comparing themselves to anything on influencers and social media now. I think it's so bad for relationships
Yeah.
because you don't realize what the back end is, like even if I post a video where I post that we went to the park and oh she had a great day, we went to the aquarium, we did all this stuff, right? But you don't know how many tantrums he had in between,
Of course,
or
yeah.
that he's teething right now and, he's going through has a lot of pain and it's been a very hectic. But
Yeah.
my point is like the time and just refocusing that because you shouldn't be looking at other people for, for validation or like when you should start doing, giving more attention to your partner. Um,
Yeah, definitely do not compare to yourself to anyone on social media or really to anyone else, because your relationship is your own journey between you and your partner and your child, once you have a family. But what people post on social media, I mean, I'm sure even you and me, what we post, we choose what we post. And
exactly.
we don't necessarily post like our worst moments of the day. We may post, a glimpse of here and there. And most people are posting highlights. So, like you said, you don't see the behind the scenes. You don't see the tantrum. You don't see when you were crying out of stress and, because your baby's having, a tantrum in the middle of the bank or something. Like we
Right.
don't share that. A lot of
Right.
people don't share that, and you have to just stay focused on your life, your family, and um, don't assume that we know what's going on. We don't know what's going on in other people's lives, and all we can do is focus on our own.
Do you feel like that's a common issue nowadays, like with couples that you work with? Do you feel like they're comparing like, oh, they have more time than us, that's why they're able to do X, Y, and Z? Like, do you
Yeah.
feel like that's common nowadays?
Yeah, I think with the younger generation as well, that's so focused on social media, they're constantly focusing on what other people are doing, even people that are not in relationships. So many people have issues with their own self-esteem, and they judge their lives in general or their appearance, and it's all based on what they see on social media. And again, it's not reality.
Mhm.
Everything is filtered, everything is edited. It's not reality at
Right.
all. And I think people in my generation and older, I mean, we back in the day when we used to take a photo, we however it came out, it came out. We didn't get to edit it, and we had no idea what it looked like because you had to go to the pharmacy, bring the roll, leave it there, and then come back a week later. You didn't even remember what picture you took, and then you
Right.
look at it, and the pictures came out awful, and you were still happy with it, right? It was fine.
Yeah.
But now everything is completely edited and filtered, and everyone looks perfect, and no one looks perfect in reality.
Mm.
It's just not real.
Right.
So it's really important for people to remember, don't compare yourself. It's not reality. It may be some reality, but it's not the
Mm.
whole picture. We're not looking at the full
Exactly.
picture.
Right. It's not the whole
No,
whole
it's a
background. Exactly.
it's a very intentional glimpse that someone
Exactly.
is sharing with the world. Yeah.
Um, and another point too, I'm sure you have come across this with your couples as well, that budget could be a big topic when it comes to relationships after children, and obviously children cost money, and um, you might find that when money is tight, you could either become stressed or you find that as another excuse along with time that for you not to do things. And I just wanted to see if you had any tips for us, like what are some ways that people could show love and affection to one another without money? Um, if you had any points on that.
Yeah. That's a great question because definitely having a baby and having a family comes with a lot of unexpected expenses. And I think that when it comes to finances, it takes a lot of communication with everything in a relationship or in a partnership. It takes a lot of communication, but really talking about what are you worried about? What are your concerns when it comes to finances? What are our goals when it comes to finances? Just kind of having that conversation. A lot of people are very uncomfortable when it comes to talking about their finances. Especially nowadays, a lot of people get married, they're a little bit older, they've already had their career established. A lot of my clients, they're already independent, they're already financially secure, and then they're partnering up with someone that's also
Sharing.
independent, financially
Right.
secure. So then how do you merge your two lives together? It's not that easy. It's really
Mhm.
not that easy, but it's not impossible. It just takes a lot of communicating, a lot of communication, a lot of deciding, what are our priorities. There are certain things when it comes to the baby that are going to be essential, like diapers, like healthcare, like
Formula.
formula, childcare, like all those things are really important, and they're a priority. And talk about your budget, just talking about it, deciding what's essential. I
Communication.
remember when I became a mom, that we had started a business, but I was still working also full time, and we decided that I was going to stay home. And there were we had to have a conversation, and there were sacrifices that we chose to make. I say sacrifices is not a bad word. Sacrificing means for love, because it was a priority for us, it was part of our values as a family. I decided there were things that I gave up, like getting my nails done and, little things like that, that for me I liked, but they were not essential. And my husband also gave up things, and it was a decision that we made together. So, little things like that. But I think that, again, being creative in what spending time together looks like even as a family, like going to the park together. There are things that you could do that don't cost a lot of money.
Mhm.
As long as you kind of stay playful and just realize the small opportunities for having fun, the small opportunities for being close, for connecting with each other, like even as a family, like all those things. If you just kind of make a habit of it, you'll see that you can do a lot even when you're on a budget. There's a lot that you can do that doesn't cost a lot of money. And save
Right.
up for the things that you do want to do that cost more money.
Exactly. Yeah, and I was in the similar boat. So I was working full time when I was pregnant. Then I started working from home and I thought I would be able to travel to my job, commute whatever I decided, whether it was 5 days a week, 3 days a week. It ended up not working out. Um, and they wanted me full time in the office. But unfortunately, so I thought I could do it, right? But then when the baby came and you have that love for them and you realize how many things they need and you just want to be so attentive to them. Like you said, similar situation. I spoke with my husband and we were like, are we able to do this? And we decided that, we're going to cut back on certain things. Like you said, what's essential? Like, I don't care if I'm not getting my hair and nails done every week. Just little things that might seem like, people could just get them done like it's nothing. I was like, you know what? I want to cut back on all of that because staying home with my child is like my number one priority, and that's what I want to do. I don't care if I'm taking away other things that maybe I liked just because this is my new this is where I want to be. And
Mhm.
I do freelance at home as well, but as you know, like working from home sounds all fun, but a toddler running around, it's not that easy. So going back to time, obviously trying to balance that is challenging, but this is what I picked. Like you said, this is the sacrifice I made because this
Mhm.
is how I wanted to live. And you know,
Mhm.
communication, like you said before, I always talk to my husband and I'm like, if I need to go back to work, like it's okay. But we feel like this, we're okay right now to be doing this, and I I don't want to change it, like it's
Yeah.
it's hard to go back to that. But I'm okay where I'm at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm okay to
And you
say,
know what's a good reminder? Then I'll tell you now, because you're in that early stage now.
"Mm,
It's not forever, it's for now. This
right,
is the stage that you're in now, and it's a beautiful stage that your son is in, and
mhm,
you made this decision, and it doesn't mean everything passes. Time keeps
right,
passing, and so, the day will come when you will have the time. Your son's needs are gonna change, and you will have the time to do those things that you're not able to do now, and you will have the money for it. So, like, even it's for now.
right, exactly." And that's a good point because obviously in the beginning it seems overwhelming and it's like I feel like everything was, like I said yes, but then you don't do things and you're like, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do?" But there's so
Mhm.
many things to do that do not require,
Yeah.
money, like you said. And just either between relationships, and some things is like I wrote down are just like words of affirmation and
Mhm.
giving each other love notes and still giving each other cards on Valentine's Day. Like just those little things, I mean, they cost like $1, so you could do it. So you can't make the excuse. These are just little details. But yeah, do you have any other points on that? Or we could talk about the next topic I was gonna bring up as well.
As far as making time for each other, and it's gonna go into the next topic that I think you wanted to talk about, which is how to
Mhm.
keep the spark alive,
Right.
um, is like you said, there's those little things like the little love notes and remembering to be thoughtful, like on Valentine's Day and things like that. But um, there's a few things. First of all, be aware of your energy. Like, how are you showing up? Are you showing up with each other constantly cranky and exhausted? Or
Mhm.
are you really taking care of your own needs? Like, it's really important that you're taking care of your own needs and that you're figuring out, like, I'm exhausted, and you're communicating with your partner. I'm exhausted and I need this or that, because you want to make sure that you're showing up for each other, that you're taking care of your needs, and that you're
Mhm.
showing up for each other in the best way that you can, and that you're when you see each other, like when your partner comes home, that you're happy to see each other,
Right.
and that you create that sacred time together.
Mhm.
So just kind of like be aware of your own energy, take care of your own needs so that you can show up in a way that you want to show up. And also so that you can figure out what is it that I need? When do I feel loved? You mentioned like the words of affirmation, like what is it that my partner does that makes me feel loved? Let me figure out what that is and let me let him know, look, I
Right.
really love it when you do this. It makes me feel
Yeah.
so loved and I feel so happy when you do this because you know what? Our partners want to make us happy, but
Mhm.
sometimes they don't know how to make us happy. Sometimes
Right.
we don't know what we need to make us.
Right.
So we have to take responsibility for that. We have to figure out like what are the things that I need? What are the things that make me happy? When do I feel loved? And then let your partner in on it so that
Yeah.
he can kind of help meet your needs and vice versa. And you want to meet his needs too and do more of the things that you know he likes.
Right.
Like with the love languages, like your love language may be different from your partner's love language. So you want to make sure that you're giving love in the way that they can receive it and they can feel it.
Right.
I think that that's a really important part, because some people, I'm not big on gifts. So
Mhm.
my husband can buy me this grand gift and I'll like it, I'll appreciate it.
Right.
Him doing something special for me and spending special quality time, taking me somewhere or us just spending quality time, that's
Yeah.
even more meaningful. So
Right.
it's like you have to know like what that is. So that's in terms of like just both making time for each other and keeping the spark alive because in order to keep the spark alive and have that intimate connection and even have a great sex life which you want to maintain, it's really important. You have to have the emotional connection first. Like you
Right.
can't have one without the other, like they're
Mhm.
connected. And the way that we create that emotional connection is by making time for each other in those little ways, is by showing love and appreciation in those little ways. So those things are really, really, really important to then keep that spark alive and make you want to spend even more time together, want to show love in a way that's, not just emotional, but physical. And again, you create the time. Like there's not a lot of time, so you want to create the time. Don't underestimate the power of like even date nights, like prioritize
Right.
date nights. Even if you can't go out, you can have date night inside. You can,
Mhm.
put baby to sleep and you can plan a date night, plan it before so that you have something to
Right.
look forward to. That
Yeah.
anticipation is exciting, right? You want to build that excitement. And it could be, order takeout and watch a special movie together or something like reframe what you think of as a date night and
Right.
just create those special moments together. And that's what's going to keep the spark alive. Like making it happen, like creating those moments intentionally.
Yeah, and also too, like like we were talking about comparing to other people, but also comparing to ourselves and what we used to have, right? That
Mhm.
could probably be a big um issue is that you're thinking about, well, when we used to do date night, we used to whatever, go to this big fancy restaurant and, get ice cream after, or whatever the case may be. But or, getting a really big gift for Valentine's Day or a birthday, but it might be different now and that, you have to kind of shift your needs based on, having children with you now. It's a little different. Um, to
Mhm.
just another point too is that, throughout this talk, I feel like you brought up communication a lot and how important that is. And just to go back a little bit, when you were talking about, taking care of yourself, then you could take care of others. A lot of times, stay-at-home moms, you're drained by the end of the day. It's like I had all positive energy throughout the whole day, but at the end, it's like
Yeah.
you just want to put the kid, the baby to bed and, relax at that point. So I feel like even for myself, and I'm sure a lot of women relate to this, I'm exhausted and I might be giving off, um, maybe I'm frustrated or
Mhm.
I just, like I said, drained at the end of the day, and I don't realize that I might be giving that energy off, and maybe I'm not receiving what I would like, but I'm not realizing that like initiating it, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So just communicating like, listen, it was a really tough day. And,
Mhm.
same with your partner if they're working or whatever the situation may be, communicating like, listen, this is what happened today. I'm gonna need a little more assistance during bedtime or, um, you know, whatever, vice versa. You know what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Communicating, letting your partner know, like, this is the day that I've had, and I'm just so drained,
mm,
and say, can you just take the
right,
baby, take
5 minutes,
charge,
right?
take
Even just
charge.
like
I'm gonna
five
go take a
minutes,
nice
right?
long shower. Like, just
Yeah.
communicating that. And your partner will probably be fine with it. And also, I think what's really important is that I think as moms and as dads, as partners, we each
Mm,
want to be validated for our experience. It's not easy being a mom, it's not easy being a dad, it's not easy staying home, and it's not easy working. Like, none of it is easy. We just all want to be validated for our experience. So I
exactly.
think that, we have to be responsible to regulate our own emotions and be able to self-regulate, but part of regulating, that's why we have partners. We help each
Right.
other regulate, right?
Mhm.
So coming home, and if you need 5 minutes, and that's fine, but coming together and just sharing about your day and even your frustrations, that helps you process it. So
Right.
listening to your partner's day, like allowing him vent about his day or whatever, and just listening, not solving it, just listening, and you sharing about your day and you just venting and letting it out, whatever,
Mm,
that in itself, you're processing your day, you're processing your emotions, you're letting it out, and then you're both that's it. Now we shared our experience. There's so much value to just sharing
there's more
experience.
understanding
Yeah.
there. You know what I mean? So whether we both walk, he walks in and I'm mad and he's mad and we don't communicate that, then it's not going to obviously end in a positive way and there's going to be no solution.
Mhm.
So like you said, communicating that and just saying like this is how it went, then at least you have a better understanding. Okay, this is what, let me give them 5 minutes. I understand like it's just a better flow in your relationship and I feel like it'll help you grow into um better partners for each other.
Absolutely. You're creating empathy, right? You're developing
Right.
empathy for each other. And I'll also share with you and offer, like, sometimes what's required is no words at all, is like a hug. Like, you're really
Mhm.
frustrated, you're drained, you're exhausted, and all you want is a hug. Like, so
Mm.
much is communicated without
Mm.
using any words.
Yeah,
Just especially when you're feeling just completely drained and overwhelmed. Like,
right.
you don't have the strength to talk about your day, and just
Mhm.
all I need is a hug. That goes a long way. That's
Mm.
a really long way. Like, you see you I think ideally, right, you want to see your partner, and rather than resentment for the day that you've had, and
Right,
your partner having resentment for the day that he's had, is coming together. You know what? It's been a tough day for each,
right.
and
Both
we
get it.
are each other's safe haven. I'm
Yes,
finally
exactly.
seeing my partner, and just a hug. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Like, not that it's going to solve anything, but again, it's about being there for each other. You're communicating, even if it's not verbal in that moment, and
Mhm.
you're creating empathy for each other, and it's part of that partnership.
Right, right. And that kind of leads into the last point I wanted to talk about, which is like splitting up responsibilities between, the father and the mother, and like how that might look, and it might feel overwhelming. We kind of touched upon this a little bit, but like how one parent might hold, more responsibility taking care of the child. Obviously, working is a responsibility, but specifically talking about the baby. And it could form resentment if you, like we said, don't communicate it. Um, do you find that's like very common in couples where they feel like they don't know how to balance taking care of the child or they're not communicating it well, which can create that problem?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. It's another really important conversation to have, because resentment builds quietly and slowly over time. When you don't address things,
Hmm.
that's when the resentment builds. But when you communicate, that's why, again, it's important to know what you need.
Hmm.
Being a parent is a shared responsibility. So when your partner is watching the baby, he's not babysitting, it's his
Hmm.
child. Right? So you're
Right.
sharing, you both have that shared responsibility. Like you said, working is part of that responsibility, right? Like, providing for, in that sense, should be acknowledged for sure. But also it's not easy being with the baby all day long as well.
Right.
So you have to really be aware of, have the conversation of, and know, what do I need? Where would I like my partner to show up more for me? How
Right.
can I be supported in the things that I do? It's not really about 50-50. Like it really is 100% and 100%. And
Mhm.
sometimes we don't have 100% to give. Like sometimes we have 20%. So then our partner's got to put in like 120% or
Yeah.
30%. So like we need to just really talk about what we need, where
Right.
we need them to show up more for us and for our child. What can we do differently? Make sure that we're getting our putting our oxygen mask on first and getting rest, taking care of your health, taking care of yourself and all of your needs so that you can both of you,
Right.
show up for your child and have that energy. Like that's a real part of it. Um, but I think again, it's just there's certain things that maybe, it's also trusting each other. So there's are certain things when I can remember, like just as a young mom, when my husband did take the kids to do something or whatever, and me not being okay with the things that he was doing.
Yeah.
Over time I realized, okay, if he's gonna do it, I have to just trust him. I mean, he's their
Right.
dad. He's gonna take it,
Yeah.
loves them, and it may not be my way, but it doesn't mean
Mhm.
that it's gonna be fine. So it's also trusting each other. But just having a lot of flexibility, a lot of communication, and remembering to value each other and show appreciation for the things that we do, because sometimes we are trying to help our partners and they're not appreciating what we're doing, and then that kind of makes us not work together. So the things that we are doing, just showing each other appreciation, even if it's like, somebody made dinner or someone did the dishes, like just creating a habit of showing appreciation. First of all, it's a good example for your
Mhm.
children, but um it just makes you want to show up even more. It's about, just feeling good and feeling valued for the things that we do, because we're all providing a lot for each other, for our family, for our kids. So hearing that, I think, goes a long way.
Right. And I really like the point that you said of 100% from both parents, because it shouldn't be thought of as 50-50, because then if you're not getting that other half, then like we talked about resentment and
Yeah,
anger and frustration, it's not gonna
yeah.
solve anything. So
Like
really just
I never really resonated with that 50-50. It's like,
yeah.
I nursed my kids and that was all me. My
Yeah.
husband was not a
Yeah.
part of that. And you know
Don't
what?
take that away.
I didn't need him there. Like,
Right.
like I didn't need it. I needed him to support me. Okay, what do
Mm,
I need in that experience? Like what do you need?
mm,
How could he support me? But I didn't need him to do that. It was like, oh, it's not fair. I'm doing this.
mm,
There's no comparison to what one parent does and the other. We all have to bring the best of ourselves for each
mm.
other, for our child, and
Right.
whatever that is. There's really no such thing. If that were
Right. We
true,
all have our own roles.
everybody has their own roles, and it's not even about gender roles. It's about who you are as a person. Bring all that to your
Mm,
relationship, bring all that to your child.
mhm.
Yeah.
I think we did really good. I'm excited to share this with people because I think it could really help new moms and moms. Obviously I only have one child, you have three, so it's pretty cool that we can relate still with multiple kids versus one child, and at different ages of our children. And yeah, so I really appreciate you sharing all of your knowledge with us and just giving us tips on how to communicate better and how to just really talk to our partners and really just express exactly what we feel. And yeah, so thank you again for coming on this episode.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed our conversation. And
Where could we have everybody find you? So if they want to tune into your page.
okay, so I'm on social media at Odette Coronel Coaching, on Instagram, on Facebook, and LinkedIn and TikTok. And my website is odettecoronel.com. And I work with both individuals and couples on relationships, on helping them have the best relationship possible with their partner, and also on general life issues, because the foundation of any relationship is the relationship with yourself. So really work with people one on one just on their own self awareness, their own mindset, their own unhealthy patterns, their own communication skills. And yeah, if anybody wants to schedule a free session, we can chat.
Yes, I might be in your next.
Gmail.com.
I'll be in your next DM, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much.